Chapter 1800 Overclocking. Zhang Yi's 10,000 things appeared ripples, and the outer dimensional gate was actually peeled off layer by layer. His method can break my dimensional gate. Zhang Yi was shocked, but he did not slow down at all. Taking advantage of the gap when the other party broke his dimensional gate, the divine refining in his hand condensed the power of the void to the maximum. Star Cannon, the purest and most powerful attack, was shot directly at Guo. The oncoming attack forced Guo to stop his actions and deploy his own defense field to block Zhang Yi's attack. Neither of them dared to act rashly, because each of them had the ability to break the other's defense. Guo stared at Zhang Yi, and his heart was also extremely shocked. He had the means to deal with the ability of the space system because for their civilization, there was already a complete system for dealing with superpowers. So there were corresponding methods to deal with various abilities. It was just that Zhang Yi's dimensional gate was under his space agitation. After peeling off one layer, there was another layer, and after peeling off one layer, there was another layer. 3,000 dimensional gates formed hundreds of layers of defense around Zhang Yi. Even if he tore one open, he couldn't tear all of them in a short time, and his attack couldn't effectively kill Zhang Yi. A huge spherical space appeared in Guo's eyes. This was the information about Zhang Yi's defense field that he got during the battle. In his eyes, it was a powerful space force field that emitted a high-energy reaction, which made his attack unable to penetrate. After precise calculations, Guo quickly formulated a battle strategy. On the blade in his hand, the red energy crystal continued to shine, and the ability of space agitation continued to be released towards the forest. Layers of space were peeled off, followed by the high-energy shock wave released by the scorpion tail behind him. Zhang Yi sensed the danger. Once the forest was cracked, with his own defense, he couldn't stop the opponent's white bishop-level attack. But he would not passively take a beating. Swish! Zhang Yi moved his position for the first time. The space shuttle allowed him to rise high into the sky, looking down at Guo under his feet. Then, the dense rain of bullets from the two guns poured down in an instant. The shield-breaking spear was mixed with two different bullets, which was enough to cause considerable trouble to Guo. Although it could not directly cause a fatal attack, as long as the flaws began to appear, it would usher in a continuous weakening. Until his reaction slowed down and his strength weakened, that was the time for Zhang Yi to really attack. Guo faced Zhang Yi's attack, and the scorpion tail behind him suddenly stretched out, circling around him quickly, and cleverly blocked all the bullets. The explosion sounded around him, and the explosion power of the nuclear bomb was quite large. After the defense force field had a loophole, Guo could not completely offset the erosion of this part of the power on his body. His dark and tough armor could block the strong explosion at close range, but the continuous shock waves also interfered with his attack rhythm. Suddenly, he stomped his feet on the ground, and then the whole person took off. He went straight to Zhang Yi. But no matter how fast he was not faster than teleportation. Zhang Yi made up his mind. Since the opponent had the means to break through the dimensional door, he simply didn't let the opponent lock his position. However, he had the ability of time second hand, which could predict the opponent's actions and keep his attack covering Guo. As long as the delay was long enough, he could only rely on the amazing amount of ammunition stored in the space to wear the opponent to death. Almost everyone who fought with Zhang Yi had experienced this terrible process. You can't break Zhang Yi's turtle shell, but you can't run faster than Zhang Yi. Guo began to feel a little irritable. The subtle gap between him and Zhang Yi came from the fact that Zhang Yi had already mastered some of his intelligence, but he had no idea about Zhang Yi's abilities. After losing the initiative, he would always be one step behind in the battle. The opponent's energy level is beyond the prediction. If you can't use the ability of space agitation to tear his defense, you can't cause an effective attack on him. So, you must increase the output power. Guo made such a prediction in an instant. His arms had been waving into afterimages because thousands of bullets were attacking his body every second. In Zhang Yi's space, the ammunition reserve can be described as infinite. Guo also knew that there was no point in consuming it like this. In his eyes, A blazing light flashed, and the red light was extremely creepy. At the same time, on the strange scimitar in his hand, a red crystal embedded at the end suddenly burned like charcoal. A breath that made Zhang Yi tremble rose from Gui's body in an instant. The dark sword threatened Zhang Yi with death. According to the energy reaction, the intelligent system also gave Zhang Yi prompts in time. The value of Gui's ability index judgment actually increased from 32,000 points and then climbed to 38,000 points. After Zhang Yi became an alien, this was the second time he saw someone who could gain power far beyond his own ability index in an instant. This is completely contrary to common sense. The last time, it was Bian Junwu who used Bingpa and burned all his essence to do such a thing.
Doing so must pay a huge price.
But the opponent was fierce enough to choose to break Zhang Yi's defense in this way. In Zhang Yi's left eye, the time-second hand was spinning wildly. He had already seen the upcoming attack and tore his dimensional door. The dazzling red light enveloped everything around him. It was an attack with powerful destructive power. Gui raised the blade in his hand. At this time, the black blade had turned red. The powerful energy burned and evaporated like a flame, illuminating the entire land. Even Liang Yu and others who were fighting in the distant direction changed their faces when they felt this power. Gui did not hesitate at all, and stabbed the void under his feet with a backhand knife. Then the terrifying red ripples circled in all directions. Zhang Yi felt the agitation of space, and at this time, he did not even dare to open the dimensional door to shuttle. So, he chose to hide directly in the different dimensional space. If it weren't for the aliens who were also space-based and could accurately find Zhang Yi in the parallel space like the Hades Gatekeeper and Bai Longzi, or if they were powerful enough to destroy the barriers of space, they would not be able to hurt Zhang Yi at this time. Therefore, Gui did not hesitate to consume an energy crystal, and the powerful attack he launched directly fell into the air. He looked at the empty space in front of him in astonishment. His calculation power did not calculate that the other party could dodge his fatal attack in this way. The red energy surged in the sky, causing a huge storm. But after a long time, Zhang Yi appeared in front of him again from the void. There is such a method. It's really surprising. His eyes were fixed on the weapon in Gui's hand. The scimitar in his hand and the scorpion tail behind him were all inlaid with this crystal containing powerful energy. Zhang Yi remembered that it was the most important component of the energy core of the super-large mechanical life form. It can instantly burst out energy far beyond its own energy level. If it is a carbon-based creature, its body will inevitably suffer great damage. However, if it is a mechanical life form or an artificial human, it is easy to understand. Zhang Yi can now be sure that the guy in front of him is a mechanical body. Only in this way can it be reasonably explained why he can have a strong physique, super high movement speed, and release powerful means of attack at the same time. Combat-type mechanical life form? It turns out that the mechanical civilization is taking a completely different path from the aliens. Zhang Yi sighed in his heart. He and Lu Karen had had such an idea before. The human body is actually no different from a robot. It's just that if there's a creator who created everything, it is obvious that he made the human robot too delicate and perfect, but too fragile. But this doesn't make any difference. Whether it is a carbon-based creature or a mechanical life form, as long as it exists in this world, it has its rationality. And Zhang Yi is even more interested in him. If I can master this technology and create a mechanical life form comparable to a bishop-level alien, then wouldn't it be invincible? At that time, there would be no need to go out and risk my life every day. It would be so cool to remotely control them to fight at home. Zhang Yi looked at Gui in front of him, his eyes full of heat. Gui didn't know that he had been targeted, but his calculations at this time were a bit confused. Because the computing system couldn't tell him how to kill this alien with rogue ability. According to the calculation, there is only one optimal solution at this time seeking support from companions. He couldn't escape, otherwise the mechanical civilizations project here would be difficult to continue. That thing can't be interrupted in any case, because that is a major opportunity that their entire civilization has been waiting for endless years. So Gui sent a signal for help to his companions without any hesitation. A fair one-on-one duel? Sorry, this is a war, and winning the war is the most important thing. As a man-made man, he has no so-called strong consciousness at all. At this time, Jesberg, who was thrown far away by Zhang Yi, stared blankly at the scene in front of him. That terrifying demon who treated him like a toy actually fought chaos to a draw? Huasu's chaos. Is his strength enough to be on par with Morana? Such a thought emerged in Jesberg's mind, and his blue eyes opened wide. At this time, Barada's troops finally arrived and rushed over from afar to support. Emperor Shirtian couldn't contact Jesberg at all with his communication equipment, but when he was far away from Ordo City, he could feel that a war had already occurred there. Whether it was the roar of the battlefield or the powerful energy fluctuations, it was as conspicuous as a wildfire. We are late. Emperor Shirtian already knew that Zhang Yi and the others were coming, so he was not too surprised. Azura glanced at him and said, "Isn't this better? With them here, we have a greater chance of winning this battle smoothly." He knew very well how strong Zhang Yi was. Emperor Shirtian frowned slightly. "Do I need their help?" He sneered. "I only dislike them for taking away the resources that should belong to us. Now, I would rather they were not here, and let us fight those mechanical life forms ourselves." Azura stopped talking. He knew how hard Emperor Shirtian was talking. But soon, as if to respond to him. In response, the ground in front of the train collapsed. The driver reacted quickly and made a sharp turn, preventing the train from rushing into the ground. Then, a huge mechanical arm poked out from under the ground and appeared in front of them, grabbing the edge of the ground. A super-large mechanical life form, it was in front of the Barada train, like a sharp contrast between a crab and an earthworm. When Emperor Shirtian saw this scene, a sneer appeared on his lips. Just in time, of course, he chose to accept the supplies that were delivered to his door. But before he could smile for long, two more super-large mechanical life forms crawled out from under the collapsed ground. The faces of the Barada aliens were already a little strange. In this case, it would seem a little strenuous. However, they can still win if they fight to the death, but many aliens will probably die here. Emperor Shirtian jumped out of the car directly, stood above the car, and showed his magnificent three-life body. "It looks like the main force of the mechanical army is here. Haha, I understand. The chaos side must be in a very bad situation. In the end, it still depends on me." Emperor Shirtian stretched out his hand triumphantly, and his supernatural power materialized into a world-honored, heavenly umbrella in his hand. Facing the three super-large mechanical life forms, he raised the heavenly umbrella with both hands, and a golden torrent gushed out from the end of the umbrella, like a golden sword heading straight for a super-large mechanical life form. But when the terrifying energy approached the super-large mechanical life form, it was suddenly blocked by an invisible force. Although it destroyed the Earth, it did not hurt the super-large mechanical life form at all. Emperor Shirtian's pupils shrank suddenly. How could this be? This is very wrong. Although the mechanical life form has a defensive force field, after several battles and the exchange of intelligence between the alien forces of various countries, they have gradually discovered ways to deal with it. Even if the attack of Emperor Shir's Catholic-level power cannot destroy a super-large mechanical life form, it is impossible for it to have no reaction. At this moment, a special existence suddenly appeared in his field of vision. At the head of the super-large mechanical life form in the middle, Emperor Shirtian did not notice it at first because it was too small in comparison. It was a dark humanoid creature with 6 mechanical arms and a heavy hammer in its hand that looked like a mace.